What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and fellow YouTubers? I bid all of you welcome to this video where I am going to talk about the key bindings and the advanced configuration of your key bindings file. Now this video is going to appeal to people that already have a key bindings file and or have watched my previous video on key bindings. In that video I have explained some basic tips and tricks for this feature, but now I'm going to go a bit further into finer detail and a little bit more on the pro side of this feature. So just a reminder, a summary of my other video on key bindings. So if you have watched my other videos on key bindings, you know how to make a key bindings file, utilize that program that I showed you guys, how to manually edit your text file to suit your needs, also where it is located on your computer, and how you can load that configuration, that key bindings file, into Star Trek Online. So this video's tips and tricks is going to be for people that are a little bit experienced with key bindings and want to fine-tune it a little bit more to get some sort of DPS increase out of their characters by doing the same thing that they did before. So just a little tip for you guys to getting a higher DPS. For beams, it is going to be broadsiding. Now, if you guys have done the tutorial in Star Trek Online, you kind of know what broadsiding is. And if you don't, let me just go through it. If you guys know, this map is just a PvP map. It is that cracked planetoid. Now, obviously, I couldn't find an NPC that wanted to join this little video, so I just had to load up a couple of my other accounts in Star Trek Online because I want to use them for target practice, and the enemy in Star Trek Online doesn't suit that feature or this feature very well. So this is just a PvP map, and these are just a couple of accounts that I have. So broadsiding, what is broadsiding? Well, broadsiding is basically having your enemy to the side of your ship, because like if you're using beams, and beams have this firing arc, as you are going to see right there. No, right here. They have these 250 degree targeting arc, so that is like circumferences almost like the entire like side of your ship. And same can be applied for your aft weapons, and as you guys can see right here, there is that outline in bluish tint. So when your enemy is within that targeting arc, your beams are going to fire. So broadsiding is basically having your enemy in that targeting arc in your front firing weapons, and also in your aft firing weapons. So if I have this enemy as if I have this target as my enemy right now, I can fire the front weapons and also the aft weapons. So that is, that is broadsiding. And same can be done, or same can be applied for cannons and torpedoes. Cannons and torpedoes have that small degree in firing, so you kind of need to be face to face if you want to use like dual heavy cannons or just cannons in generally. You kind of need to be face to face, and same can be applied with torpedoes. So torpedoes have that firing arc as well. So if you want to increase the DPS, positioning your ship is key. So you also can kind of need to keep in mind that flanking is also a good increase of DPS, which means that you have to position your ship to the enemy's rear arc. Now there are some character traits, special ships, buffs and debuff skills that utilize this feature even more. But right now I'm not going to go into that. That is basically a different video. So if you position your ship either broadsiding for your enemy, you're going to have a higher amount of DPS because your forward and your aft weapons are going to fire, and this is true for beams. And if you position your ship at the enemy's rear arc, as as you guys are seeing right here, this little arrow, and I might just zoom in right now so you guys see I am currently targeting the enemy's rear arc with my phasers. So I'm going to do damage on this side only, not on the left, on the right, on the front, just the aft. And the aft is going to give me flanking bonuses, and flanking bonus is going to increase my overall DPS. But anyway, weapon firing solution, what do I mean by that? That is basically the degree where the weapon is going to fire. And like I said, like I just explained, if the enemy is within these degrees, your weapon can can fire a higher amount of DPS, especially when it's targeting the rear arc. And I can say fire, right? Fire, which is not always the case, because in Star Trek Online there are a couple of unique features let's just call it that actually interrupts the weapon cycle for some reason. And one of these reasons why a weapon cycle gets interrupted is the depletion of weapon power. As you guys are going to see right here, I have obviously drained all of my weapon power, and I put it all into shield and like engines and stuff like that, because I don't want to have too much weapon power. So if I target this guy on the rear arc with my weapons at 42, and you know what, I'm going to bring up my keyboard so you guys kind of know what I'm doing right now. And my spacebar has been set to fire all the phasers, so you guys know this is I'm going to fire all of my phasers right here to this guy's rear arc. So you guys see I'm going to press spacebar, target this guy, please. There we go. As you guys see, only 4 weapons are being fired out of the 7. Right here again, 4 weapons out of 7. 4 weapons out of 5 weapons out of 7. And if you guys are going to notice, well, I'm going to target some other guy because that one is almost dead. The weapon power right here is going to be depleted, and if I still smash my spacebar, the weapon cycle is going to be interrupted. It's going to be like grayed out, and it's going to stop firing. So here we go. When it is right there, it stopped. Right there, I'm smashing. It still has a little bit of firepower, and there it goes. It stopped. It neglected all of the commands that I gave my my character, my ship to fire, and it stopped. So here we go again. I'm smashing. It still has some power, and then it's gone, and then it stopped. You guys see that? That is why depletion of weapon power actually interrupts the firing cycle of your ship. Now, same can be done through bridge officer skills and ability. Captain or character powers can also one can also argue in some cases traits also interrupt the weapon firing cycles, or just some SEO features that can interrupt the weapon cycles. Now, this game is obviously made by humans, and we all can make mistakes. This is part of being humans. We are like, we are flawed in whatever ways, and same can be said for all of the developers. That is basically why we are having so much patches as of late. One can argue not enough, but everybody is doing whatever they can to optimize this ship or this game. So with that being said, keep this in mind when you're doing your key bindings file, that you kind of need to run down all of the features, all of the weapon power, all of the items that I just mentioned in this video, that some of them can interrupt your weapon or your weapon cycles as it did right there, you know, because I just depleted all of my weapon power, went to all the way to 0, and then I had like a big cross right here, so you don't have any weapon power anymore, and then it stopped cycling, it stopped firing. So you know, this is something you kind of need to keep in mind. And one of my older subscriber, Raven 131179, commented about this in my key bindings video file, or file video, key bindings file video, on how redistributing shield power interrupts your weapon cycling fire, your weapon firing cycle, and he's most right on this part. But to elaborate a little bit more, there are more skills that can actually stop your weapons from firing, like I said before. And one more example that I'm going to give out is the aux to bat. The auxiliary, let me just, no, not reputation, station, was it, where is it, this one is it. Hold on, just auxiliary to emergency power, yeah, this special power right here. There is something really weird with this special power right now in Star Trek Online, because if you're going to activate this power, this particular power, auxiliary power to emergency batteries, that is going to deplete all of your auxiliary power for 10 seconds and is going to increase like your weapon, shield, and engines, like it is written right there. What this special skill does, first, it's going to disrupt all of your weapon cycling abilities firing at the enemy. So it's going to basically stop dead everything, and then it's going to increase, it's going to do its thing. It's going to increase your weapons, engine, and whatever, your shield's power. So it's going to increase all of the powers, and then it's going to start you know, your normal weapon cycles that is going to fire all of your buffs and stuff, etc, etc. So this thing is like, this is the main reason why I switched off my Jem'Hadar carrier to the Herald carrier, because I didn't want to utilize this, you know, this unique skill ability anymore, because it kind of interrupted all of my weapons cycling, so it's not firing anymore. And there are a lot more abilities, and like, you know, bridge officer abilities and captain abilities that's going to do the same thing. It's going to interrupt your weapon cycle, and it's weird. So, you know, that is something that you guys can actually do on your own, find out which skill actually interrupt your weapon cycling. So it's weird, a lot of features that wasn't intended to do in Star Trek Online. So one other thing that is obviously going to stop your weapon cycles from firing is moving out of the targeting arc. Let's say right now I'm targeting this Jem'Hadar ship, and if I turn my ship all the way to, let's say, right here, it's not going to fire obviously the front my front weapons, because the targeting arc is not going to be there. So all of the buffs that I have are going to be stacked up on my you know, all of the weapons that I have on the rear. So keep that in mind. If you want to do a lot of damage and you're utilizing beams, you need to keep broadsiding, or at least if you want to have like a higher amount of DPS, you need to be at the enemy's rear arc. So one other tip that I'm going to give you is separate the key bindings file from your attack or firing your weapons trigger. So right now you guys are looking at the way I have my key bindings file set up. 10, 9, and 8, because I don't want to like, you know, give too much too much information on you guys, but this is how I have my key bindings file set up. First of all, I'm going to launch my hanger pets, because if my hanger pets are going to attack the enemy first, they're going to draw out aggro, and then, you know, I can have all of my buffs that I have right here going off, and all the way at the end I'm going to utilize tactical team 3, and then after I utilize tactical team 3 I'm going to start firing. And that is the main reason, because like if I fire my weapons without being buffed, they're going to have a normal, like it is said right there on the Herald anti-program beam. This is just the normal Mark 10. These beams have not been upgraded or anything like that. So just 290 anti-proton damage with 232.2 DPS. So that is just the basic DPS that it's going to deal, like that. So as you guys see, not a lot of you know, damage that it's going to deal to the enemy. But if I do, like if I have beta on, if I have direct energy, if I have an increase in weapons, and I have this one on, and I have tactical team, it's going to increase my weapons to 518, 526 and 421 DPS. So that is the main reason why you first need to buff all of these. We actually need to activate all of your buffs first and then attack with your weapons, because then you're going to do more damage. So keep that is just a tip that I'm going to give you guys. So separate those two, separate just, you know, your buffs and then your you know, your fire all beams or fire everything or whatever, you know, options that you're going to use to have these key bindings file. And also not using spacebar to activate your key bindings. So I'm going to recommend you guys using some other key than spacebar, because spacebar is kind of tied up within like fire all weapons or fire torpedoes or fire everything, beams and weapons and what else, you know, you're going to utilize. And while you're going to utilize spacebar a lot, you know, it might get interrupted by, what am I doing right now? Am I firing all weapons or am I buffing? What am I doing? So keep that in mind. Like I said, you're going to be more efficient in firing in weapons when you're going to be stacked up in all of your buffs, and so that is going to increase your overall DPS skills. So that is something that you guys can figure out on your own. But if you want to go really full pro on this Star Trek Online, I can advise you guys to make a key bindings file or a separated key bindings file for all of your shield healings, and also one for all of your hull healings. Right now, as you guys see, I don't have a lot of hull healings because I'm a tactical captain, right? Tactical doesn't have a lot of like heal abilities and stuff, etc., etc. But if you are if you are like an engineer, or you are, oh man, sorry, if you are an engineer, or if you're utilizing like a science ship, or you know, something in that nature, you're going to have more science abilities, more than one healing abilities for your hull, more than one healing abilities for your shields, etc., etc. So you can make a separate key binding file for that. You just basically stop your damage rotation skill, and then you increase your heal abilities for your hull or your heal abilities for your shield. So keeping those two or those three separated is going to be, you know, you're going to be a pro at this game. You're going to deal so much damage and you're going to heal so much. It's, you know, you're going to be a pro, trust me. So the last thing that I'm going to just give out for you guys, that is kind of like, you know, something that you guys might have known but haven't really thought about, is a little bit of homework for yourself. Go through all of the buffs, all of the skills, all of the debuffs, as in the time activation and cooldown time as listed in order of time activation. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's say, no, let's go with this one. The red matter capacitor is going to give me plus 25 all power settings for 20 seconds, right? If I want to utilize the emergency power to weapons 1, it's going to give me plus 22.5 weapon power settings for 30 seconds. But it has a 43 minute cooldown, right? So for the amount of 27 seconds is going to give me an increase in power, right? But it has a lot of cooldown. Same can be said about beam overload. It's going to add just one beam overload to all of your weapons, and when that one is going to fire, let's say this one, it's going to fire beam overload, and then it's going to go on cooldown, right? But if you have two of these, like I have right here, I can utilize them in succession. So I'm always going to have an emergency power to weapons that is always going to be in uptime. And obviously, like if I utilize this, fire on my marked is going to give me a 41.5 all damage resistance rating for 30 seconds. Right, so that's going to be a debuff for 30 seconds, but it's going to go on a cooldown for 2 minutes. So I can't utilize this thing. I have to wait 2 minutes for this to go on cooldown. So you basically need all of the skills that are going to increase something like debuffs or buffs or like weapon power or weapon damage or critical, whatever. You're going to have them that is going to give you a high amount of time to increase. Let's say this one is 30 seconds, but this one is 20 seconds. So obviously the ones that are going to benefit you the most is obviously the ones that you need to use in the front, because this one is going to give me let's say the attack pattern alpha is going to increase my all damage for let's say 49.8% all damage for 30 seconds. But if I press it, it's going to be on a cooldown for 2 minutes. So you basically that's a little bit of your guys' own homework. What kind of weapons or what kind of skills are you using, in addition to what weapons are you using, what goes on cooldown, what's going to be the time of activation, how long is it going to give me that option to utilize or to actually fire all on of my enemies. So go through all of the buffs and debuffs as in the time activation and cooldown, and list them in the order of time activating. Is going to benefit every stage of the keyboard file, of the key bindings file, and you will do the most damage by doing this. And obviously if you want to have something that you need to be on activation like 24/7, and I say 24/7, you basically need two of these. Like I have right here, I have two emergency power to weapons twice, because if I activate this one, it's going to be 30 seconds. It's going to increase my damage, my weapon damage, and when that 30-second is going to end, I can activate another one, so I can have an uptime keep of these special abilities. And same goes with beam overload. That is really nice ability that I have, that I want to have in upkeep as high as possible. So that is my tips and tricks for you guys to go pro with key bindings. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked it, and see you on the next one. For now, take care.